Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Forex Fargo checking in. We are going to do our Forex Fargo weekly webinar. This is going to be from March 21st all the way through March 26th, 2021. All right. If you guys are unfamiliar with this, we're just going to run through the following pairs: dollar index, EU, AU, GU, GJ, UCAD, and then you'll get a bonus of the Euro AUD, right? So let's go ahead and dive into it. So starting off with the higher time frames, you guys are following along last week, right? You know, from the webinar, I was expecting price to retest this dollar index around this 91,500 level and push back up, right? So currently we are in between, we're about like 200 or some pips away, you know, from the high of last week, which is around this 92,400 or so. When price gets up here, I am expecting, okay, so I'm expecting some exhaustion around here. This would probably be just with this being the first break, right? This will be a second retest, and this could potentially be a third retest, right? So what we will be keeping an eye out for is looking to see how the market sets up the beginning of this week. Maybe we can get this dollar, dollar push to the upside. And then with that happening, we can be expecting a few things, right? So let's go ahead and look at EU real quick. So if the dollar index is to push up, all right, what is expected of us, let's delete this. So now we are on Euro USD, right? So expected of us is that price is probably going to pull all the way back down here, right? So with price pulling down here, this should actually run parallel with the fact that we are expecting the weakness. We're expecting the bullish momentum and then the expected weakness on the dollar index once it gets to the 92 level, right? So if you guys are unfamiliar with this, what I clearly see right here, I'll just use this path, right? So we're just talking about a larger W formation, right? So you have your, right? So right now we're looking to see if we can have this bounce from this, bounce from this 118, 450, 500 level and see if we can ride that all the way back up to 119, 950 or so. That would actually be like 100 pips or so, right? So that is a trade I'm actually interested in taking a look at. What I actually told you guys what I would be doing this week, I'm actually going to, give you guys a few entries. Now, granted, do not know if this will happen the way that it will. However, we might as well at least try, right? So TP1, TP2, TP2, TP3, TP4. Shout out to everyone too that is sharing the videos. I've noticed I've got a few subscribers, right? So I want to do the 850. We want to get our 2-1 real quick. 18, 850. 225. Want that 119, 545, right? So you guys notice that when I do run by a few of the, my trades and everything, they do seem a lot faster. The reason why they are, seeming a lot faster and everything like that as well is because, I'm just getting comfortable in trading with what I want to trade, right? So this was a trade that I took. Right now, like I said, I'm expecting this to, push back to the upside. But looking at this, I can see that there's some exhaustion, but I probably am expecting this to work all the way back down as well. So, you're not always going to be perfect, but what you can do is at least predict and, help yourself and align yourself properly before the beginning of the week, right? So here we are over here. Last week, this is actually a beautiful fucking trade. Last week, I remember I was talking about price actually pushing back up to, daily resistance level before pushing all the way back down. That actually didn't happen. What happened is that price was, respecting this daily or market structure swap level, whatever you'd like to call it. But 77, 600 or so, 77. 550-ish was, being retested and it hadn't been broken. Now, this was actually a beautiful trade, right? Because I ended up taking the sells, and then I also took the buys, just in a post note charts, because it just is what it is. You don't need to post charts every day. The shit does get fucking tedious, right? So this was a beautiful trade. This was actually FOMC, so this was the Fed rate coming out. I was in AU buys, GU buys, gold buys last week, and I think UCAD sells or something like that, right? But in the span of an hour, this is actually 1 hour candle. This 1 hour candle flew up about 100 and something pips, right? So what is probably going to happen sometime again this week, okay? So even though you guys did not catch the position this week, you probably should be able to catch this position back to the upside. All right. As long as the dollar index holds around 92,400 or so, between 92 and 92, 350, 400, right? We should see continued momentum against the dollar. I know that everyone, not everyone, but people have been receiving, stimulus checks and, the government's giving away free money. I guess that's good for the economy, but it's really not, unless people are giving that money back into the economy, which we are, which people should not be trying to do. But at the end of the day, you can't control shit, right? So this is what I would be looking for on AU, right? So I'd be interested in a buy AU at this, we'll call it 77, 75. Your stop loss will be, a tight 6 pips or so. I mean, tight pippage, TP1, TP2. All right. First TP when we get down here is gonna be the 77. 77 through 25. Boo, 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 boo. Happy Saturday. I'm recording this on Saturday, not Sunday. Early bird gets the worms, that is always. We'll call that 655, and then we'll call this 077, 855. Then we need that last one. We need that TP5, baby. That TP5, you heard? 078, 025. 025, right? So this would be something that I'd be interested in. Once again, your job is to follow along with the trades and, have your charts marked up, right? So moving on. Oh, here you go. You got another one right here. You got a fucking buy limit. Look at this, right? So this was a buy limit. I don't know when I had this, but this is why the importance of leaving stuff on your charts, right? So you can go with either one. You can take the buy manually, or you can take the buy limit, right? It doesn't matter. GJ, right? I mean GU. So GU, beautiful trade. If you guys, actually followed along with me last week, I actually talked about this trade. So this was a 100 pip drop to the downside. You could have caught this twice, and then you could have caught the buy, right? So let's just speak about a couple of things real quick. So now that we see the price has literally, it's not, let's put it to a daily time frame so you can just kind of unconfuse ourselves real quick, right? So this is what we're looking at, what I see happening. I know that I have a few different charts and everything, but I'm going to draw a zone right here. It's about a 20 pip zone. Let's send this to the back real quick. It's about a 20 pip zone. Send backward, right? Excuse me 1 second. All right, here we go. Right. So this is what I would be interested in. Once again, considering all things, actually I'm actually gonna delete this zone. I don't like the fucking, excuse me, I'm blind, so I prefer the trend lines. I know that this is a zone right here between these two, right? So this is what I'm looking at right here. So we'll do this. We'll move this back down there, right? So I'm looking to see a couple things, right? This is a 30 pip zone between this 138,250 and this 138,550 or so, right? So just I still feel stronger about the fact that price would probably retest this 138 250. Price may also go all the way back down to 138, who knows? But at the end of the day, you just follow along with the trade, right? So this is something that I would be interested in, right? One, I'll leave you guys two things. This is a trade that if you guys don't follow along with me and you guys actually don't watch my webinars, you are doing yourself a disservice, right? So once again, if you guys watch my webinars every fucking week, sometimes I do have these, sometimes I don't, right? But you know, if we're going to follow along with last week, this is a beautiful trade, right? So I took this buy when price was down here at 138,500. I didn't necessarily need to open up my charts. All I did was open up MT4. I know that I've traded from these levels previously in the past, right? Let's look at how many times price has boomed up from this level. You got one boom, you got two booms, and then this would potentially be a third boom right here, right? Which is why we can expect a third and a fourth, you know, sometime in the next coming weeks or so, maybe in the next few days, right? But long story short, okay, we took the buy from zone to zone, which was, you know, call it 100 pips, right? And then you take the sell from zone to zone, which is 100 pips or so. Then what you do, you get ready for the buy back to the upside, right? So you guys can follow along with this one right here, or I will go ahead and add another one, buy limit, Gbpjpy USD at, I had to make sure I'm still recording. Sometimes I don't press the record button. 138, 250. Right? Stop loss. Our stop loss is going to be a little bit tighter on this, right? If you get stopped out, I understand, you know, just follow along with the trade. That's all I can say to you. TP4, right? So we'll do this a little bit different. So our first TP, this. Yeah. Right, so either one, you can catch the 100 pips. Just gotta wait for price to set up, right? Moving on, we will go to GJ, right? So GJ is actually kind of it's not a doozy, but what I would tell you guys is that if you guys follow along with me, I took the buy last week from 150, you know, 8 something or whatever like that. So if I was to just draw a line right here, I knew the price was retesting this previous weekly low, right? So, you know, there was no candle closure below that, just, you know, collecting liquidity. Price boomed all the way back up, easy. Now, what is kind of tricky right now this week, I don't know where, you know, where, how do I say it? I am unsure of potentially where this could bounce from, right? So I'm gonna have a level marked at 150. Actually, no, I'm gonna have my level marked at this 150, 500 level, right? So we'll have it marked right here. So what I will be watching is just to kind of see, you know, how price reacts to this level. If we are going to maintain the bullish momentum and continue to the upside, or if we're just going to break down a little bit. So I would be interested in just looking to see how this plays out. I don't think GJ will die that much, so it'll probably die like that. All right, so on GJ, I'm not actually going to, you know, yeah, this is what we will do. Matter of fact, call it like this. You just got to manually watch to see when and if this happens, and we probably won't be able to ride it all the way back up there. So I'd be interested in a buy Gbpjpy at 150, you know, 500, cool, stop loss. It's okay to take 2 trades and lose them before you hit a trade and you win. It's okay to take 2 losses on 10 pips, right? So you lost 20 pips, and then it's okay to catch fucking 60 pips on a position. You're still up 40 pips overall. So you're still, what is that? 3 to 1 or something like that, right? Yeah, still 3 to 1 off your risk. Stop loss. Been having tighter stop losses only because the entries I've actually been following along with London session, so on and so forth. So, you know, I've been able to have the tighter stop losses. It's just been to my benefit. Sometimes it actually works to a disadvantage, but you know, you win some, you lose some. I say that, and some people, you know, don't understand. You can't beat yourself up. You know, a trader knows they're successful before they even fucking like really become successful. I've been telling you guys this all the time. I know I'm successful. I can see the work happen. There's just other things that I need to work the kinks out, right? But other than that, you know, I'm always most of my trades are fucking hitting. I just have, you know, struggles with the entry sometimes, right? So USDCad, I see this doing a couple things, right? So if we look at over here, just basically what I do see happening, I don't see that happening all the way up there, right? So this is what's gonna happen, right? We may see another bullish run all the way back up to, you know, where price actually died from last week, right? So I'm looking for maybe a potentially short position like this. If I get stopped out, it is what it is, but you know, this does have potential for if we reach up here to have like 100 and plus some pips, right? So what I'd be interested in on this is a sell Usdcad at, you know, 125, 475. Stop loss would be 125, 650. Actually, that's too tight. We'll call it 600. I mean, that was too much of leeway. If you guys have followed me too, you guys will notice, you know, usually I use 15 to 20 pips, 15 to 30 pips on the stop loss. Nah, I'm gonna keep them a little bit tighter because I'm trying to just, I have things that I'm trying to accomplish, right? And the name of the game is to protect your capital at all costs, always and forever. Don't forget that. 124, you can call it 655. We'll call this 124. You know, 375. That's all right. 24. We'll call it 124. 275. May or may not happen, right? This is what I'm looking at on the UCAD. Go ahead and switch gears to EURAUD, right? So I see a couple of things happening right here. All right. So last week or the week before, prior, whatever like that, right? I understood that, you know, price was going to push all the way back up. So you guys actually saw me take that sometime last week. What I did not do, you know, because I was already content with the trade, right? So just up here, you can see this is triple top, head and inverse, head and shoulders, whatever you want to call it. Literally from here, price died another 150 pips, right? So potentially what's going to happen is price is probably going to retest this. All right. So, you know, you'll be able to catch maybe, all right, maybe just maybe you can catch this, right? So you might be able to catch buys to the upside for 68 pips or so, right? I'm going to do two things. Price may exhaust right here. All right, so price may exhaust from two places, but more importantly, we're still probably going to come down. So I'm not worried about any of that shit. So from whichever level, so I'll explain this in a second. All right. So yes, you can probably catch the buys, excuse me, you can probably catch the buys, you know, up here, whatever like that, 55 pips, whatever you want to call it, right? And then price once again may push back all the way back up to this point, right? So I actually think this is more realistic, okay? Nonetheless, whatever happens, happens. So I'm looking to take the sell when price does seem like it's getting exhausted between 155.4 and 155.500 or so. You know, the entry doesn't need to be perfect. This is just my targeted area and what I'm looking at. So I may catch the buy to the upside, follow on price action, or catch the sell to the downside. You have one or two options. I'm not going to draw any buy or sell signals on this one because this is always going to be the extra for the week. And then we're just going to go ahead and move on to this gold trade right here, right? So moving on with gold. Gold is actually kind of a little bit tricky for me, right? I don't know necessarily what could happen. What I will say, though, is if price comes back down to my 1728 level or my 1716 level, by all means, I'm looking for buys right there, right? So, you know, the name of the game is protecting your capital, playing it smart, and making sure that, you know, you're taking good trades, right? So hopefully you guys have had some great experiences. You guys have learned, you know, you guys have documented and traded your stuff, documented and, you know, marked up your charts and everything. And hopefully we have a successful week. Forex Fargo checking out, and I will see you guys next week. Take care.